Avery in 2025, Study 4.3, Following the Way. Our Messiah did not come to save Gentiles. Do not go to the Gentiles. Did not morph into go to the Gentiles. Shalom. This is the third in a series of studies on the subject of following the way. 1. Our Messiah did not come to save Gentiles, the nations. Do not go to the Gentiles, did not morph into go to the Gentiles. Sending out the 12, our Messiah said, do not go into the way of the nations, and do not enter a city of the Shomeronim, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Yisra'ěl. To the Greek Syro-Phoenician woman, our Messiah said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Yisra'ěl. The woman had the faith to recognize this, and this is the reason her request was answered. The Apostle Shaul said, our Messiah was born of a woman, born under Torah, to redeem those who were under Torah. All the covenants belong to the chosen people, the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl, and the renewed covenant is one of them. The renewed covenant is exclusively given to ethnic Yisrael and Yehudi, to the literal descendants of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and to no one else. As Gentiles, we want to read our Messiah came to save us. That is why we have it in our Bibles. As Gentiles, we want to be the chosen recipients of a new covenant, which we are not. The believing remnant of Yisra'ěl is the recipient of the renewed covenant. We Gentiles are the dogs that eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Salvation is of the Yehudi. But we Gentiles have always been able to become Yehudi by choosing to sojourn with Yisra'ěl and to follow the Torah of the Sojourner. One Torah for both the native-born Yisraeli and for the Gentile who chooses to sojourn with them. In the time of Solomon, there were 153,600 men, not including women, who were gers, sojourners, in the land of Yisra'ěl. To be saved, Gentiles must be sojourners. We must sojourn with the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl. We must be grafted into the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl through faith in Yisrael's Messiah. We must become Hebrews. We must cross over the river to worship Yahuwah, just as Abraham did. Gentiles must become Yehudi, that is, people who call on the name Yahuwah and who follow the way of Yahuwah. Just as Abraham did, just as Rahab the whore did, just as Ruth the Moabitess did, just as Cornelius the centurion did. We Gentiles are brought into one fold, one flock with one shepherd. One remnant of mankind shall seek Yahuwah. The Apostle Shaul was the apostle to the Gentiles, to those Gentiles who have been called by the Father to be grafted into the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl by faith in Yisrael's Messiah. The term Gentile believer is an oxymoron and does not exist in the Hebraic worldview. We do not get saved by following the teaching of the Nicolaitans. The teaching of the Nicolaitans is the Hellenized version of the Good News account. We do not get saved by joining a Greek, Roman, Anglo-Saxon counterfeit called the Christian Church. 2. The olive tree metaphor. Yahuwah has named you, Yisrael, green olive tree, beautiful, of goodly fruit. With the noise of a great sound he has set it on fire, and its branches shall be broken. I shall be like the dew to Yisrael. He shall blossom like the lily and strike out his roots like Lebanon. His branches shall spread, and his, Yisrael's, splendor shall be like an olive tree, and his fragrance like Lebanon. I say then, Have they, unbelieving Israel, stumbled that they should fall? Let it not be. But by their fall deliverance has come to the nations, to provoke them to jealousy. And if their fall is riches to the world, and their failure riches for the nations, how much more their completeness? For I speak to you, the nations, inasmuch as I am an emissary to the nations. I esteem my service. If somehow I might provoke to jealousy those who are my flesh, and save some of them. For if their casting away is the restoration to favour of the world, what is their acceptance but life from the dead? Now if the first fruit is set apart, the lump is also, and if the root is set apart, so are the branches. And if some of the branches were broken off, unbelieving Israel, and you, Gentiles, being a wild olive tree, have been grafted in among them, believing Israel, and came to share the root and fatness of the olive tree, do not boast against the branches. And if you boast, remember, you do not bear the root, but the root bears you. You shall say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Good. By unbelief they were broken off, and you stand by belief. Do not be arrogant, but fear. For if Elohim did not spare the natural branches, he might not spare you either. See then the kindness and sharpness of Elohim. On those who fell, sharpness, but towards you kindness. If you continue in his kindness, otherwise you shall be cut off. And they, unbelieving Israel, also, if they do not continue in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if you, Gentiles, were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted in, contrary to nature, into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, who are the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I do not wish you to be ignorant of this secret, brothers, lest you should be wise in your own estimation, that hardening in part has come over Yisrael until the completeness of the nations has come in. And so all Yisrael shall be saved, as it has been written, the deliverer shall come out of Zion, and he shall turn away wickedness from Yaakov. And this is my covenant with them when I take away their sins. But now in Messiah Yahushua, you who were once far off have been brought near by the blood of the Messiah. For he is our peace, who has made us both one, and having broken down the partition of the barrier, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, the Torah of the commands and dogma, so as to create in himself one renewed man from the two, thus making peace, and to completely restore to favor both of them unto Elohim, and one body through the stake, having destroyed the enmity by it. And having come, he brought as good news peace to you who were far off, and peace to those near, because through him we both have access to the Father by one Spirit. So then, you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens of the set-apart ones, and members of the household of Elohim, having been built upon the foundation of the emissaries and the prophets, Yahushua Messiah himself being the chief cornerstone. And I shall make you, Israel, a great nation, and bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I shall bless those who bless you, and curse him who curses you. And in you all the clans of the earth shall be blessed. For you, Gentiles, are all sons of Elohim through belief in Messiah Yahushua. For as many of you as were immersed into Messiah have put on Messiah. There is not Yehudi nor Greek, there is not slave nor free, there is not male or female, for you are all one in Messiah Yahushua. and if you are of Messiah, then you are seed of Abraham and heirs according to the promise. The term grafted in. For 2,000 years, the Christian Church has preached replacement theology, the idea that because Yisra'ěl rejected her Messiah, all the promises made to the descendants of Abraham are now given to the Church. However, the Apostle Shaul did not speak of a new tree growing beside the old one. He does not speak of two trees, one Jewish and one Christian. He speaks of one living tree and every branch drawing life from the same root. He speaks of one root, one living covenant. The olive tree, which the Apostle Shaul describes, carried the sap of the patriarchs, the prophets, and the promises, and into that living root the Gentiles were invited. The metaphor was never about starting something new, but about restoring something ancient. The Apostle Shaul's words were not about Gentiles becoming the church and replacing Yisra'ěl, but about rediscovering the ancient connection. The term grafted in hides a mystery that challenges centuries of assumptions. In Hebrew thought, a tree was not just a plant. It symbolized life, continuity, covenant, divine purpose, a living image of our Creator's relationship with His people. The olive tree endures drought. It regrows when it is cut. Its oil brings light, and it is a symbol of faith in every season. When the prophet Yirmiyahu spoke of a green olive tree, he was speaking of a people chosen to bear fruit, which revealed our Creator's character, His light to the world. When the Apostle Shaul speaks of Gentiles being grafted in, every Yehudi person would recognize the meaning. This was about Gentiles being joined to the life of Yisrael's covenant, joined to the same root that nourished Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. It was not about cultural identity or ethnicity, it was about spiritual inheritance. To be grafted in was to share in the same promises, life, and purpose. That is, to carry our Creator's light to the nations. One tree, one mission. The term contrary to nature. It is not natural for two different trees, the wild olive and the cultivated olive, to share one life. But this is exactly the miracle the Apostle Shaul wanted to highlight. This is about the Gentiles who were once far away being transformed into vessels which carry the same light and purpose which began in Yisrael's root. This is not adoption from the outside, it is regeneration from within, a rebirth that connects us to the living root. The wild branches do not simply stand beside the olive tree. The wild branches begin to live, breathe, and grow with the olive tree to bear its fruit. The Apostle Shaul warns Gentiles not to stand apart from Yisrael's story, but to participate in it. One story, one covenant, one life. This is the mystery the Apostle Shaul called contrary to nature. Our Creator never gave up on Yisra'ěl. Our Creator simply invited Gentiles to join the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl through faith in Yisrael's Messiah. Just as Gentiles had always been able to become Yehudi by sojourning with the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl. The covenant of Abraham was never the Gentiles to own, but it was always available to Gentiles to join. Gentiles were grafted into an existing faith, the same covenant our Creator made with Yisra'ěl. Gentiles were not grafted into a new covenant. Gentiles were grafted into a renewed covenant. The followers of the way preached a continuation of the promises made to Yisra'ěl, now available to Gentiles. This mystery is not about discovering something new, but rediscovering something eternal. The Christian church twisted the Apostle Shaul's words, grafting in instead of teaching joining a living tree. It taught planting an entirely new tree. The olive tree, which symbolized Yisrael, was redefined as the church, and the narrative moved from restoration to replacement. This gave rise to the idea our Creator had rejected his people. The original covenant was discarded, and a new, superior identity had taken its place. The phrase, "do not boast against the natural branches." However, the Apostle Shaul warned against this mindset. He warned the Gentiles, "do not boast against the natural branches," because they themselves were supported by the same root. The branches that were broken off referred to unbelieving Yisrael, but the root of the tree, the covenant itself, remained living and faithful. The life of the tree does not come from the branches, it comes from the root and flows upward. To be grafted in is to draw from the same root, not to replace it. Every branch, whether natural or wild, depends upon the same source of life coming from the root. That root is the faith of Abraham. As soon as the Gentiles forgot the root, they began to boast in their own branches. The result was a faith detached from its origins, a faith that purported to represent our Creator, but rejecting the people he had revealed himself through. The message of the covenant was always meant to reach the Gentiles. The Gentiles did not receive a new promise. They were stepping into an ancient covenant itself. The idea was not new to the Apostle Shaul. And he says, "Shall it be a small matter for you to be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Yaakov, and to bring back the preserved ones of Israel? And I shall give you as a light to the nations, to be my deliverance to the ends of the earth." Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, "In those days 10 men from all languages of the nations take hold, yes, they shall take hold of the edge of the garment of a man, a Yehudi, saying, 'Let us go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you.' And in that day I shall raise up the booth of David, which is fallen down, and I shall repair its breaches and raise up its ruins, and I shall build it as in the days of old, so that they possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations on whom my name is called, declares Yahuwah, who does this." This is a glimpse of global redemption rooted in Yisrael. The blood of the covenant that began with Abraham now flows through our Messiah. Mercy extended beyond one people, the promise fulfilled, not replaced. The beauty of the Apostle Shaul's vision is it preserves diversity while revealing unity. Each branch remains unique, yet all draw life from the same root. Unity through a shared source, not sameness. For as the body is one, and has many members, but all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is the Messiah. For indeed by one Spirit we were all immersed into one body, whether Yehudim or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and we were all made to drink into one Spirit. For indeed the body is not one member, but many. Stay in me, and I stay in you. As the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself unless it says to the vine, so neither you unless you stay in me. So I am the vine, you are the branches. He who stays in me and I in him bears much fruit, because without me you are able to do naught. For if anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up, and they gathered them and thrown into the fire, and they are burned. 3. The believing remnant of Yisrael, unbelieving Yisrael, and the Gentiles. A cursory reading of the Tanakh reveals there are two groups of people in the world: the biological descendants of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, known as Yisrael, the rest of mankind, known as Gentiles. A closer reading of the Tanakh reveals there are two groups of people within Yisrael itself: the believing remnant of Yisrael and unbelieving Yisrael. There are many examples of this, Perhaps the most obvious example is the encounter between the prophet Eliyahu and the prophets of Bal. The prophets of Bal were the biological descendants of Abraham. They were Yisra'ěl, but clearly they did not worship our Creator. However, there was a remnant of 7,000 Yehudim who did worship our Creator and did not worship Bal. And I shall leave 7,000 in Yisra'ěl, all whose knees have not bowed to Bal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. The Apostle Shaul quotes this verse, Yahuwah, they have killed your prophets and overthrown your slaughter places, and I alone am left, and they seek my life. But what does the answer of Elohim say to him? I have left for myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to Bal. So therefore also at this present time a remnant according to the choice of favour has come to be. The Apostle Shaul again. However, it is not as though the word of Elohim has failed, for they are not all Yisra'ěl who are of Yisra'ěl. The Apostle Shaul again. And Yeshayahu cries out on behalf of Yisra'ěl, though the number of the children of Yisra'ěl be as the sand of the sea, the remnant shall be saved. The concept of the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl is seen throughout Scripture. So we have three groups of people: the believing remnant of Yisra'ěl who are saved, unbelieving Yisra'ěl who are not saved, the rest of mankind known as Gentiles who are not saved. The believing remnant of Yisra'ěl study the Hebrew Scriptures. They worship Yahuwah, and their way is the way of Yahuwah. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl study the Mishnah and the Gemara, which together form the Talmud, which are the traditions of men and contradict the Tanakh. They worship Hashem, which is a proper noun, and Adonai, which again is a proper noun. Their way is the way of Adonai. Gentiles, including the Christian Church, study the Greek and English Bible and church traditions which contradict the Tanakh. They worship Kurios, which is a proper noun, also known as the Lord, also known as Bal. Their way is the way of the Lord, also known as the way of Bal. The believing remnant of Yisra'ěl preach Yahushua, who is Hamashiach, the Anointed One or the Messiah. They call themselves followers of the way. However, their enemies in the first century labeled them Nazarenes, and their enemies in the 3rd century labeled them Quatrodecimans. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl, they rejected Yahushua. They call themselves Jews. Gentiles, including the Christian Church, they substituted Jesus, who is Christ. They call themselves Christians. The believing remnant of Yisra'ěl, they believe everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah will be saved. Their slogan is, Yahushua is Yahuwah. They are the Hebrew believers. Gentiles, including the Christian Church, they believe everyone who calls on the name Jesus will be saved. Their slogan is, Jesus is Lord. They are the Hellenist believers who attempted to murder the Apostle Shaul. They are the followers of Nicolaus, the Nicolaitans. They teach a Hellenized counterfeit of the Hebrew faith. Our Messiah hates the teaching of the Nicolaitans. They are those who say they are Yehudim and are not, but are the sons of Satan. The believing remnant of Yisra'ěl, their symbols are bread and wine. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl, their symbol is the Star of Remphan. Gentiles, including the Christian Church, their symbols are the Tammuz cross, fish symbols, Christmas trees, hot cross buns, Easter sunrise services, and church steeples. The Believing Remnant of Yisra'ěl, their calendar is the calendar of Scripture, which is a solar, lunar, stellar calendar. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl, their calendar is the Hillel calendar, which is a solar, lunar calendar. Gentiles, including the Christian Church, their calendar is the Roman Gregorian calendar, which is a solar calendar. The calendar of Scripture is a significant study and deserves its own series of studies. The Believing Remnant of Yisra'ěl, they wear tzitzits as a personal reminder to be set apart and to keep his Torah, and to walk as their Messiah walked. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl, they wear tzitzits, perhaps as a show of righteousness. Gentiles, including the Christian Church, they wear WWJW bracelets, rings, and other merchandise, a counterfeit version of the tzitzit and a money-making venture for its promoters. Or alternatively, they say, we are not under the law, we are under grace. The Believing Remnant of Yisra'ěl, married women pray with their heads covered. Men pray with their heads uncovered, as per the Apostle Shaul's teaching and the Torah. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl, married women pray with heads covered, as per the Torah. Men wear head coverings when praying, in contradiction to the Torah. Gentiles and the Christian Church, married women do not wear head coverings when praying or prophesying, demonstrating they are not of the group started by the Apostle Shaul. Importantly, Hebrew women cover their hair, but they do not cover their face. Face coverings are what prostitutes do to conceal and deceive, for example, Tamar. The Believing Remnant of Yisra'ěl, to them Strong's number H1410, Gimel Dalet, Gad, is the name of Yaakov's seventh son and the name of the tribe of Yisrael. And to them H1408/H1409, Gimel Dalet, God, is a proper noun and the name of the pagan deity of good luck or fortune, a tempestuous troop of demons, also known as Baal. That is, God is Satan. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl and Gentiles, including the Christian Church, they have no understanding of the difference between H1410 and H1408/09. They forsake Yahuwah, they forget his set-apart mountain, they prepare a table for God and fill a drink offering for me. They cause my people to forget my name, Yahuwah, by substituting my name with Baal. They are the false vine, the Baals of the Gentiles, who have swallowed, broken down, or trampled on the principal plants of the true vine, which is belief in Yahuwah and his Son, Yahushua. El, Elim, Eloah, Elohim, Elohim. The Believing Remnant of Yisra'ěl. No, the Yod Mem ending on a masculine noun may be either dual or plural, and the only difference is the Masoretic vowel pointing. When Elohim refers to our Creator, the word is a noun masculine dual. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl, ignore the grammatic fact Elohim is a masculine noun that may be either dual or plural, and assume the singular, as this fits with their monotheism traditions. Gentiles, including the Christian Church, assume Elohim is a plural masculine noun, as this fits with their traditions, the Trinity doctrine. Then they substitute this word first with the Greek theos, and secondly with gimel dalet, G-O-D, a proper noun and the name of the pagan deity of good luck or fortune, a tempestuous troop of demons, also known as B-A-A-L, that is, G-O-D is Satan. Bereshit 1:1. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. The believing remnant of Yisra'ěl. They see the masculine singular verb. They know the noun may be dual or plural, and they conclude our Creator is a father and his son who are one in a family sense, based on their Messiah's words and other evidence in Scripture. Unbelieving Yisra'ěl. They see the masculine singular verb. They ignore the dual or plural masculine noun, and they conclude our Creator is a singular entity, as this fits with their monotheism traditions. Gentiles, including the Christian Church. They ignore the masculine singular verb. They see the plural masculine noun and conclude our Creator is an entity of three persons, as this fits their Trinity doctrine traditions. Devarim 6:4. Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. The believing remnant of Yisrael. Their slogan is, Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah, our Elohim, mighty living beings, noun masculine dual. Yahuwah is one. Unbelieving Yisrael. Their slogan is, Hear, O Yisrael, Adonai, our Elohim, Adonai is one. Gentiles, including the Christian Church. Their slogan is, God in three persons. Etc., etc., etc. The believing remnant of Yisrael is not a political state born in 1948, a state with the Star of Remphan on her national flag, a state which does not recognize our Creator's name in its founding documents. And it is not a Greek, Roman, Anglo-Saxon counterfeit called the Christian Church. The believing remnant of Israel is synonymous with Yaakov, which is synonymous with the seed of Abraham. They are a people group who have overcome the lies of this world, who have come out of Mystery Babylon, who are the seed of Abraham, and there is a lot that comes with that. Which way are you following? For my message. A. Make the scriptures your hobby. Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. Abstain from all appearance of evil. Beware of false apostles, deceptive workers, masquerading as apostles of Messiah, who proclaim another Messiah, a different Ruach, a different good news beside what we announced, because the mystery of iniquity doth already work. B. Love your Creator, the Father, whose Shem, name, and Zeka, spoken memorial or witness, is Yahuwah. Follow the way of Yahuwah. Shema, obey, his voice, and Shema, guard, his mishmareth, charge, his mitzvah, commands, his chakar, good statutes, and his Torot, teachings. C. Love your Creator's Son, our Messiah, whose given name first coming was Yahushua, whose real name is Yahuwah Sidkenu, Yahuwah our righteousness. D. Love your neighbor, and love those who follow the way of Yahuwah, because there are probably only 144,000 of us. E. But do not go to church, because these verses tell you to get out of it. Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, lest you receive of her plagues. F. And do not jump out of the frying pan, church, into the fire, another religion. G. You are not a Levite, and as there are already 12 apostles to sit upon the 12 thrones of the tribes of Yisra'ěl, you are not an apostle either. So do not even think about making money from the good news.